Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 2 of X-Men Forever, written by Kieron Gillen. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. Now before this issue opens, one thing the reader needs to understand is that this issue happens concurrently with the rise of the powers of X issue 4. So with that out of the way, we see Mother Righteousness tied down by Krakoa while surrounded by Destiny, Hope, and Exodus. And during their interaction we see the Mother's face start to dissolve as a third-party voice starts to speak through her. Now this third-party voice just so happens to come from Charles. And he tells the 3 mutants that he left a little imprint of himself to help them cross the T's and dot the I's before they progress ahead. He goes on to tell them to bring Rachel back, although she is going to be furious, and rightfully so. And whatever Rachel needs to bring back Jean, just give it to her and tell her that he is sorry. And then Charles goes on to tell them to inform Rachel that they truly didn't understand the road their words have led him to take. So as the integrity of the Mother's golem starts to fail, Charles then goes on to tell them that they will need a clear mind to save the universe and to survive Raven. Now on a side note, I don't really understand what part Mystique plays in all of this, but I'm sure it will play a part in a later issue. But anyway, before the construct completely collapsed, Charles made sure to send a detailed list of all the X-Men who died in the Orcus Purges in order for them to bring them back from the dead. And once they are back, Charles wants them to lead them because his time has passed. So with the details delivered, we fast forwarded a bit to the New Arbor in the White Hot Room, and when we get there, we see Rachel emerging from a Krakoan egg. So with every mutant brought back, the team was about to move on to the next stage of their plan, when one final egg started to crack. One final egg that contains a person that no one actually wanted back. For that egg contained Nathaniel Essex, Sinister. So with the future boogeyman back, Sinister couldn't help but to ask why, in which Destiny tells him, we are all mutants, so they must be on the same side. No matter how much the awful things inside of them try to make them act otherwise. So with that twist of events out there, we fast forward to Destiny giving everyone a briefing on current events. She tells them that Orcus is beaten, but the AIs have made their move and they were actually the true threat the whole time, which was learned by studying the various Moira engines' timelines. So because Enigma is making moves and aiding the AIs, his actions comes off as completely unpredictable, so their only advantage is that he is currently unaware of their plans. So with that out there, Destiny started to break down why Charles joined the AIs. Now the first reason was to keep the mutants alive as the AIs were about to strike and kill all the humans. Now hopefully this would buy them all enough time to mount a sufficient counterstrike, but in the meantime, Charles will have to aid the Sentinels in killing humans. So with the first reason down, we were about to move on to reason number 2, but that was interrupted by Rachel storming into the room pissed off. Because the last thing she wants to have on their hands is a lot of dead humans, but that is when Sinister reminds her that by his count, they have 3 former supervillains in this room, 2 of whom are known mutant supremacists, and the other one, referring to himself, think mutants are highly desirable collectibles. And as for Hope, she was never a hero, but instead a soldier, and as a soldier she understands there are always going to be casualties. And from her point of view, it's about time the humans share in the cost for survival. Now from Rachel's perspective, she already dealt with this issue in Dead X-Men, because her team already convinced Charles not to throw Krakoa away by killing Moira. But that is when Exodus corrected her by saying they did convince him. The dream of Krakoa was too important to throw away. So Charles' dream is his dream no longer. So now the dream is the dream and Charles is Charles. And Charles, unfortunately, is gone because he is now going to martyr himself for that dream, for a chance of a new Krakoa. So with that explained, Exodus asked a question to Hope. Exodus asked what would she have done to prevent her timeline, where she have been whipped like a dog to hunt her peers. Would she do what Charles is doing, or would she have gone as far as Bishop did in his timeline? So with that said before Rachel, Hope chimes in by saying it's done, they have made the best of what they can do. And maybe they are wrong. And maybe this is nothing, but all they can do is fight as hard as they can, for it is all they have left. Because right now, Earth's Krakoa is under attack. So they need to get all the X-Men to come back home and join in the fight. But as for Rachel, she was put here with the trigger to aid in the Phoenix plan. So with that situation dealt with, we see Destiny, Exodus, and Hope having an idle conversation when a young mutant overheard them talking about the X-Men returning home to fight. So with the shocked look on the young mutant's face, we jump over to Rachel standing over Jean Grey. While she stood over Jean, Prodigy walked into the room and asked Rachel if mutilating the Phoenix was a part of Enigma's plan, because the Dominion is weak against the Phoenix. So deliberately taking the Phoenix off the board while coming into existence is the smart move. So with that out there, Rachel states smart isn't enough, because they need heart and faith. But as with Charles, he was right. She has to work this out here with Jean, her mom, as well as with Prodigy. So with the realization dawning upon her, Rachel pushes Prodigy into the roots of Krakoa and corrects him by saying it's not one plan, it's many spiraling out. It could be long, it could be short, but the first thing she needs is Prodigy, due to him being connected to the Imkron crystal and all those dimensions, some of which have the Phoenix in them. And because of that, she could take the essences of all those realities and imprint them into Krakoa itself, like a blueprint, like an idea, like inspiration. And once that is all collected, it is thrown into the pyre, thrown into Jean Grey. So with that done, it is most likely going to kill Jean, but the crazy part is, she is already dead, because this is the Phoenix heaven and hell. So with that out there, Rachel believes she may have an answer to the problem, because it is really about what happens when it is done. Because the Phoenix is all about rebirth. But this is something more, because she thinks the Phoenix is at the end of his existence. So it has to be recreated. But in order to do this, it needs a lot. Now they already provided a blueprint, but now it needs to burn hotter than anything before. So Jean is already dead, because she was killed. So to kill a dead person is a double negative, which means the negatives will turn into a positive and create a paradox or infinite life, better known as a phoenix. Or at least that's what she hopes will happen. So with that done, we see Exodus overlooking a large gathering of mutants, as a younger mutant ran up to his side. And while he stood with him, he told Exodus he is really intense and if he would like to have a tuber. Which Exodus took and ate without a problem. But while Exodus ate, the child points out how they are lucky that they will at least be able to eat after the X-Men abandon them there. So with that subtle jab, Exodus responds by saying yes, if they resurrect the Phoenix, the white-hot room will change and they won't be able to return. Now this is not how he thought it would be. Because Exodus presumed he'd sacrifice himself to let all his fellow mutants go home and out of the desert. But that's when the kid interrupts him by saying, yeah, that isn't the way it goes. The heroes go home to save the world as the rest of them stay there and try to make the best of it, because at the end of the day, it turns out they don't really matter. So with that comment made, Exodus was taken back and said no, everything he did was for Krakoa, and everyone here makes up Krakoa, which means everything is important. But that is when the boy says yeah, he doesn't think many people will agree with Exodus because they won't be missed. But Exodus will indeed remember them all. So following that conversation, later we pick up with Sinister and a large force of mutants sitting in front of a puddle. And while they was there, Sinister states with the help of Cypher's genes he thinks he could figure it out. Because the Atlantic Krakoa is here and the Pacific Krakoa is there, and they are connected metaphysically. Now this is good, because Sinister can use the same technology that make his no places travel between dimensions. But the only problem is, by doing this, he will have to suck this oasis dry, so he could persuade Krakoa to reach across space and time to reach Earth. So with a drop of the liquid, the vines of the planet wrapped around the mutants and teleported them away, leaving a dry barren wasteland behind. So with everyone away, Hope states she knows this isn't great, for all the work they have done has gone into sending them home, but they still have a job to do. They still have to bring back the Phoenix, and it's going to be a lot of work to rebuild this island, but they got this. So with that out there, the little boy asked Hope why is she still here? In which Hope responds by saying she had some Messiah things to do. And with that statement, Hope walked towards the pyre with Jean Grey on it and asks what fire could hurt Jean, which is a trick question, because only Jean's own flame could. So with the ability to copy any other mutant's ability, she takes a hold of Jean's embers and tosses it onto the pyre, and within moments, it goes up in a gigantic burst of fire. And as the flames kiss the sky, a massive explosion goes off. And within the chaotic burning flames stood Jean Grey, the Phoenix. So with the cosmic energy alive, Jean asks Hope if she could hear her, because she feels clear, because before she was fragmented, but now she has coalesced into something she doesn't really understand. But one thing she does know is that she is the Phoenix. And strangely enough she is scared because the Phoenix is also scared. Because it had died before, but never ended. So the Phoenix is fighting with all of its power to not end again. So with a sense of panic in her voice, Jean asked if Hope could help. And in the final panel, we see Hope take out her weapon and reassure Jean that she could. So with that said, this issue of X-Men Forever comes to an end. But anyway, down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.